All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chocolatey's first coding live stream. I'm Josh King. I'm a infrastructure ops engineer here at Chocolatey. And this specific topic that we're doing today was actually meant to be part of our Hacktoberfest month of streams, but unfortunately I was sick and said, no, but I still want to do it. So hence coding streams. Yes, the Hacktoberfest shenanigans. Thanks, Corey. I was about to ask, could you let me know if you could hear me? But I think that answers that question. So what exactly are we coding? I've picked up an issue for our the Chocolatey Ansible Collection. So I'm over here on GitHub in the Chocolatey Ansible repo, and I have it here somewhere. Here. So in the collection already, there is modules for managing Chocolatey config settings and feature settings. We've got the same concept in Chocolatey GUI, and Ryan here raised an issue asking if we could do the same for Chocolatey GUI. So sounds like a fun idea. So let's see if we can do it. First of all, I think I've got this repo forked. I do. So let me go ahead and clone my fork. Have anything in there? Cool. So, oh, that's bright. Right. So, because the features between, well, because how the existing Chocolatey feature module works, and how the rather plugin, I guess. No, module's the right word. Because of how similar the current Chocolatey feature and Chocolatey config modules are to what we're going to need for Chocolatey GUI, I am going to be heavily borrowing from the existing code. Yes. Now, there's one thing that makes the Chocolatey GUI stuff a little bit easier, and that is, if I remember correctly, the config stuff is set in stone. So you can't put custom stuff in there. So it becomes a little bit easier. Now, behind the scenes within the module, or within the collection, all the modules, all the bits that are doing stuff is just PowerShell. So if we look at features first, get rid of you. Let's make, now I made this big and then I made my resolution smaller, so it's even bigger than I expected. That's a little bit better. Let's get rid of the map as well. There we go. Just a little bit more space to work with. Okay. So we've got some boilerplate stuff in here, pulling in some Ansible modules for helping with it. Then some definitions of basically the parameters that get passed into modules. And when we get down to here is where we actually start looking at the Chocolatey commands themselves and doing stuff with them. So the first thing that happens is effectively we're looking for where, in the current module, we're looking for where the choco.exe executable is running, is located. So we're going to need to do a similar thing for the, and it's a mouthful, the Chocolatey GUI CLI executable. Hope I got that. Let me double check. Yes, Chocolatey GUI CLI.exe. Then, yes, so we need to do that. And most of, sorry, getting tongue tied. Then the actual bits for getting, say, specific features or setting specific features are in some utilities. So the ones for features are split out here. So get Chocolatey feature has, at the moment, it basically runs, if you pick this apart, it runs choco.exe feature list -r, which is limit display, something like that. The machine readable version. And because that is get, all it's doing is outputting the features, unless you specify a, if I'm remembering this command properly, no, that's just listing them all. Okay. Sorry, I'm speed reading this, so if I miss something, I've missed it. Anyway, let's start coding. So you'll notice there was no get Chocolatey command in there, which is what we need to find the exe. That'll be hiding under the common utils. And we've got get Chocolatey command. Now, one of the decisions we need to make is whether we extend get Chocolatey command to also be able to get the Chocolatey GUI CLI executable, or if we create a new function that does, say, get Chocolatey GUI command specifically. And in all honesty, I'm on the fence, and I wish Gary had been in chat to give me his opinion. But if Corey or Stevie are there and they have an opinion, I would gladly take it. Yes, that's, I didn't, oh no, now we've got a split. So Stevie's saying extend the current one. Corey's saying get Chocolatey GUI CLI command. Oh, jeez. I was personally leaning towards extending this one, but in looking at it now, the duplication in code isn't actually going to be that bad if I just create a new function. What else is in here? Convert from. Oh. I have a feeling Corey's coming around. So for now, if you take a parameter for, so what I was considering, well, okay. I was originally considering a switch to flick it over the Chocolatey GUI, but if we make it a parameter that can be set to anything, yes. So if we don't make it a switch, if we make it a parameter that just takes a string, we can then extend it even easier. Okay, let's do that. So we'll add a new parameter. Yep. Command is a bit vague, but it's the best I can come up with on the spot. And the default would be choco.exe. Executable. Good. Cool. Yeah. Ooh. Also a good suggestion from Corey with command name. Ooh. I don't know what you're talking about, Stevie. And just to make it a little simpler, and GUI CLI.exe. So using a validate set means we can constrain ourselves to only the ones that we expect. Which to return. Sorry, trying to make sure I update the help as I go so that so that it actually gets done. Otherwise, my PR will sit there while I find time to do the docs. Hey, Paul. Specimen to return. I don't like that phrasing. So return, yeah. It's either a command to be specified. How long was that? Okay. Which contains the path to the specified beautiful. Wording. returns either a command object which contains the path to the specified Chocolatey speed or defaulting to that, or registers as a task failure. Okay. I hope that wording sits well with everyone. All right. So we try and get the command executable, which defaults to Choco, but could also be Chocolatey GUI CLI. Now, if that's not found, the Christmas tree is on. It's just a bit light to see the to see them. So what we can do here, because this is specific to finding what's the name? Words, chocolatey.exe. We can go like that. Jeez, you're all chatty and chat. It's distracting me. So if it's not Chocolatey, then it could potentially be Chocolatey CLI. Now, to my knowledge, and Stevie or Corey might be able to help me with this one, but to my knowledge, there's no environment variable that tells you where Chocolatey GUI is installed. So we're going to jump straight to effectively where I believe it should be installed. So my understanding, well, if we run that, is it sits on, it does too. That's interesting. Oh, right. Hang on. Hang on. Okay, yeah, no, that works. That makes things a lot simpler. For some reason, I thought it was elsewhere. Okay. Yes, you're right, Corey. That does make it a lot simpler. but yes, it does. Because it's just going to sit under bin. Okay, let's just do that for now. If something else needs to be added to this that's doesn't live in there, I mean, 9 times out of 10, I would expect this to pick it up anyway. Now if I pop that, there. Part of me wants to make that more specific. This is where I'm going to put in a switch statement, just because I want to make the error message a bit more specific. And save typing, copy that. Yes. I like that error message, Corey. We should implement it everywhere. So that should now, if we don't find the command and we're not, so the task has failed with that message. Cool. And that's specifically saying cannot find the GUI installation. Okay. So that should cover that. Let me is there stuff in there that let's try. So by default, that's given me Chocolatey. We have auto completion between the two. So if I specify Chocolatey, it gives me Chocolatey. And we also have GUI CLI. Cool. Perfect. Yes. Now, this here, we've got set, we've got that. And then we've got the wrapper out here. So let's start with the utils, because we end up needing to call the utility module, the utility functions from out here. So let's start with this. And we're going to go and literally copy and paste. I promised myself I wouldn't get hung up on naming things. But does anyone have a preference between GUI.features? You're a legend. But now, capitals or no capitals? That's an important one. Yes. All right. So we can go from top to bottom. Yeah, I guess actually considering I'm going cable case in there, it makes sense to do it out there as well. Okay, consider containing the feature states of all Chocolatey GUI features. Where are the keys? And yes. Now, I guess I should actually show what we're changing here. So in Chocolatey GUI, there are features and there are config settings. So features which we're starting on are just on or off. Chocolatey GUI does need a GUI logo, yes. So features, list of features, they're either on or off. So basically the output is either true or false on whether they're enabled. The settings are a little different in that like that there's an actual value to them that can be customized. So yes, so that's the gist of what we're doing here, is making it so that Ansible can change, that can so that via Ansible you can configure these settings. So Choco command comes in, and that's that. Now, let me pull up the docs. Feature. So Chocolatey, it's feature list and -r, which should be feature list -r. Yay, nothing changes. No, I won't ask that question now. Then that comes out, that comes out. It looks like hash. This is okay. Here's my dilemma. Yes, I think Stevie knows exactly where I'm about to head. Before digging into this, I assumed there was going to be more code changes required. But well, there may be for other bits, but at least on the get Chocolatey GUI feature, it's literally just been help text that's been changed. Let me confirm, because surely given this passes in the Choco command and the name's the same, sorry, the command's the same. Yes, yeah. So let's confirm with set. It's name enabled. So we call the exe feature whether or not it's enabled or enable or disable and the name. So I submit that that can go away. Now, is it worth updating the internal help? And I have a feeling that's more of a question for Rain, if they're in chat. Yeah, Rain. Or just leaving it as is and not. So at least this one doesn't specifically mention choco.exe, so it's not as specific. Yeah. So when it's just chocolatey and doesn't mention chocolatey, does that read okay? Chocolatey CLI or GUI. Because that's to the desired state. It says it reads repetitive, but it gets the point across. Cool. Okay. So this one we actually have to change, but very, very slightly. No. Yes. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rain, but this one, we can't really avoid the duplication, can we? Unfortunately. Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and duplicate some code. I will, but not today. So sorry, there's some other work happening in this collection, and Ryan was just asking if I wanted to include that in this, and the answer is yes, but not on the stream. As far as naming goes, do we want to effectively make that bit a noun? Well, sorry. The commands are, say, win_chocolatey config, win_chocolatey feature. Do we want to make it win_chocolatey GUI feature or win_chocolatey GUI feature? There's a lot of options there. I'm just going to leave it like that for now. We can change it. No extra underscore, yes, that's what I was. Because then all of the chocolatey GUI stuff like grouped together. And yes, there's too many. All right. There's no actual name metadata in this, is there? Oh, and that's what happens when I have my column too small. Yeah, it's all in the. So, in theory, the only change to make here is to go executable equals that. Oh, and of course. It should just work. So given the change to that executable, the rest of it just works. All right, reading in silence, because otherwise you'll hear my inner monologue. Okay, so we've got the PS1. Now we need the Python file. Now this one, I'm not sure what the next version is going to be. Let's check. And whether or not this makes it into the next version is its own question. We have a 1.4.0. I'll add that, and then it can be changed if it slips into a later version. And just talk about GUI features. GUI. So this is the actual documentation that you'd see in Galaxy, or I believe you can run help in the terminal as well. But effectively, this is the documentation for the module. So we need to update all of this to reflect what it actually does. Chocolatey GUI. And luckily, it's mainly just changing Chocolatey to Chocolatey GUI. The name of the feature to manage. Yeah, but I want to actually make sure I catch it all, because otherwise I would have missed that one. For a list of options, see. Not that. It is. Do we have? Yeah, there we go. Cool. That one. Is it worth? No, because that doesn't work. Sorry, that was I did notice that, but that was there. Yeah, anyway. So the name is a string and it's required. Description, choices, yes, that all works. C also. Is there an upper limit to how many C alsos we can include? Because what I might just do then. Yeah, that's fair. Might drop source off the end. I don't know. And given how little code has changed, I'll just add myself to the bottom. All right, yes. What are some features? Why did that return nothing? Good. Actually, let's, just in case, let's do an admin terminal. It's not because it's open. I've never run into this before. There we go. No comment. I wonder if I should report that one. Anyway, yes, I think sorry, all the way back to Stevie's suggestion is hide this PC source is probably a good one. And what's the actual? Finding the that is a good shout, right? Let me put some notes down. So I'm just making sure to record that. Cool. So again, that's something that I'll probably add to this in the PR, but won't mess with it during the stream. Just in the interest of time. And one more, probably a disable, if I can type correctly. This one is on by default. Use keyboard bindings. Sure. I don't know why. I wouldn't personally turn it off, but if someone wanted to. Using and that is that. Thanks for that, Stevie. Add a Chocolatey GUI config there. I just no, I'll leave them. In two minds about cleaning up that list a little bit, but they can stay for now. To my eye, that is everything needed for the features. There may be something else in the wider metadata that needs to be done, but we'll get to that once we're done. Let's see what's actually been changed. Bunch of help documentation. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Remember that. So let me quickly put in a commit just so that if I need to get back to this point, it's easy enough. What are we on? Okay. So that was features. Now for config. So with the choco.exe config settings, they are stored in here in a XML file. And they have to be pulled out. Sorry, they have to be, we have to read that file to get all the Chocolatey config settings. Yeah, this one, the remove and the set in theory should still work. And in theory. Yes, and if I remember correctly, with the choco.exe, you can effectively set any name and any value in there. Whereas with GUI, it's more strict, if I remember right. Yeah. Well, actually, we can. Well, I may be misremembering conversation, so let's test that. So at the that isn't actually that much easier to read. What is that second column? Is that just language? Oh, that's the value, do. Okay. So at the moment, there's default source name and outdated package cache duration. If I were to go, yeah. Yeah, okay, cool. So yes, you can't just arbitrarily make up um, your own config setting things, which is good. So that does mean we can play with it, I think. The one that's definitely going to have to change is the get, because we don't want to be looking in we don't want to be looking in the XML file for it. Okay, so first I want to validate if this is dash name config set name value, yes. And that is config unset, yes. So sorry, what I'm wondering here is, given you can't change something that doesn't exist, should I go and explicitly, we're going to need to do this bit first, but in the set and unset, should we go and get all of the config settings that are available and error out early if you're trying to set something that doesn't exist? And I'm leaning towards yes, because there's no point trying if we know it's going to fail. So we are going to need a I'm going to be ripping most of this out, but the bulk of it out, but we'll that outputs. Sure. Now, one thing we can do with this is we can just list all of the config settings and their current values. We can also get specific ones. As in, say, a single config setting. I think it'd be good to try and add that in, the ability to get a specific value, a specific setting. It actually happens. Sorry, now I'm off on a tangent while I'm thinking about that one. If I try and get, yeah, it just says not found. Okay. So outputs a hash table containing the operations. Let me borrow that. Yeah, that's one up. Containing all the values. Bigger value. Yeah, that's wordy and I don't like it, but it'll do the job. Config name or config setting? I think name has to be in there, so we'll leave it as that for now. All right, and here's where Let's borrow that and see how far that gets us. Yeah. Yes. Yes, it is. No. So what Stevie's saying in chat is, yeah, it's not necessary to try and look for the file for this on disk because we can just run Chocolist because unlike the other command, this one is passable directly. And value. Okay. We don't care about that help text, do we, for this? Do we? No. Yes. No. Yes. We didn't for that, so let's not change things. I think fair, yes. And in fact, effects module for Chocolatey GUI probably wouldn't hurt either, actually. But that's not on this issue. So. Part of me is wondering if we should add validation to make sure that the command coming in is specifically the Chocolatey GUI command. But this is all in the back end anyway, so a user shouldn't be touching this. So it's probably a bit much to be adding that sort of validation in there. Just thinking that one through because, yes, because I was thinking, we could terminate a validate script with a assert task failed, but if that's failed, that means there's something fundamentally wrong in what we've written, not what the end user's done. So, or the end user's environment. So that seems a bit not right. Now, I sort of want to grab something. What am I looking for? Where does that come from? Is that coming from yeah, okay. Well, in theory, let's skip that bit and go trying to type a U on CLI, which isn't helping. Not that. Oh, yeah, of course. That is from here. I don't think there's anything from one of the helper things in there. No. I didn't copy the right thing just then. There. Yes. Right. Yes, of course it does. Sorry. That's that thing does, doesn't it? Or something somewhere. Yes, it does. Oh, result does. Right, and that would be coming out of run command. Can it? Are those installable, like publicly? I've never actually looked them up. It'd be really handy if they yeah, the source is available. I'm sort of hoping that just have a thing up on the gallery. It's about yes. It's like a rabbit hole of We'll try it, and if it doesn't work, I will just move on. Yeah, okay. Never mind. No, it won't work. It's possible that they've got that compiled somewhere that's just importable, but that's yeah, too much. So the other thing that I wanted to be able to do with this was if a config name was specified, then it will only go and get that config item. So an example of that from the docs is this. Although that wasn't quite the output I expected. Interesting. About that one. Okay. That one I expect to be null. Take a screenshot of that because that's not how that should work, in my opinion. Well, in theory, EN's a default value as well. So unless I have set it, let's go through that loop and set it. Yeah, okay. Looks it, yeah. Unless, ooh, unless that 60 originally was a integer rather than a string. And when it's returning it, it was expecting a string and not an integer. All right, let's try. So now we're debugging mode. Yeah. Yes. Would expect an error rather than it just outputting nothing. So for the purposes of this, let me go and set it again so I can at least get something out. Yes. So what do you mean a normal output, Stevie? Yes, you're right. Because when I do list, it's always showing it for me there. Yeah. There we go. So that should, that's the difference between that which has the name, pipe, value, pipe, help text. And let's go to the one that always works, that one. And that one, okay, so the output's different between the two. Yeah, so with the R and naming it specifically, it's comes up blank unless I've set it specifically, then it works. That changes things. I was hoping here that when I use get, it would still show that output, but for just the one config setting. Yes. So the config list itself is fine. It's the issue comes up under get. Yeah. So that makes things a little more difficult. With the get, it changes this output, and I don't want the output to be different. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, let's do it that way. That's just a hash. Don't want to delete that. Rather than doing it there, let's go. Oh, what if we made that a collection of strings? That way you could provide a list. It's sort of bastardizing the purpose, the intent of the get command. And that, I mean, we're not even using the get command anymore at this point, but it is a functionality. Yes. If so, if config name's null or can you... Sorry, I'm just digging up some notes here because I have a sneaking suspicion that I've got a better option for this. No, not. That's probably more succinct. Yeah. And that covers both, doesn't it? If it's not specified, then just add everything in that loop. If it is specified, the name has to be in it. I think because what could trip that one up, the using the contains key, is if someone passes a null or an empty string to it, which is, but again, it's on the back. Yeah. It's on our end of things that if that were to become a problem, it's yes. Okay, so that in theory I'm going to be putting our testing to heavy use later on today, I think. But I think that's all we need for the get. That's what I was looking up, and I'm not 100% sure if using it in line against a variable. Yeah, I'm not sure. But in theory, that does our get GUI config. And then remove as an unset. Yes. When we tested, say, unset. Yes. So in theory, the actual error will come out. I'm weighing up the value of explicitly checking for the existence of a config value before trying to unset it or set it. Versus just reusing the existing functions that we've already got. Now, part of the benefit of checking ahead of time is we could do dynamic parameters to fill in. It's on the back end, it doesn't matter. Adding nice user UX features for something that is on the back end probably isn't too helpful. Yes. Because then the actual error is going to come through, which is clear enough. Yes, so I think we will just reuse these. Chocolatey. So now we do the GUI dance. Command and path to boom. The name of the computer, yes, okay. And then this is that one. And Chocolatey executable. Executable. Cool. So now we do the big code duplication thing again, this time for config. Paste. Get rid of that. Add GUI. Okay, reading. Yes. Okay. Where is get chocolatey config? There it is. Ah, right. And we need to update that to executable. So get chocolatey GUI config. And I once again believe that's the only change needed in, oh, other than potentially some comments. Let me check that. Yeah. Aha. Yeah, there's already something in there to check for that. Okay, I'm glad we didn't go too far into trying to add that in the other code. There was, sorry, one more thing here. We have name there, which we need to potentially pass into yeah. Normally, I would go the route of splatting a hash table into that for if there was a subtly different, well, if there was different arguments to be passed in. But it feels closed out. Let's go. Okay. Let's just name. So we have for everything, Choco command equals Choco command. In this case, if I'm reading that right, Rain, name's always required. Hmm. No, state defaults to present. That's a Ansible convention. Sorry, what I'm what I'm stun locked on here is how to use the module, this module, to get all of the what's the names? To get all of the config values, but I think that's more of a fax module. So because name's always there, this doesn't need to. What did I say it was? I literally had it a moment ago. Okay, cool. So for now, though, that should do the job. And would replicate what? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, and again, this module isn't really for seeing values. It's, I mean, chasing my own tail here a little bit. The module itself isn't for seeing values. It's for setting them to a specific value or unsetting them, which is its own type of setting value. So in theory, that bit's not actually needed for this. That's fine, yeah. Yes, but having the functionality there allows for it to be used in a Chocolatey GUI fax module later, potentially. However, we feel like having that works. Cool. So this is. Should probably validate that applies to Chocolatey GUI as well. This is not case sensitive. I'm going to assume that it's not. So that gives me that. Okay. Scanning this to see if there's anything else that needs to be changed, and I do not think so. So that's remove and set of reusing the main Chocolatey config thing, and that one's using the new Chocolatey GUI config, and we're specifying the proper exe. So that should work. And I think I've updated all of the text. Okay, so we need the Python file again. Paste. What did I say the version was in here? 140. And there's every chance that this may not make that release, in which case we'll change the version number as needed. What did the GUI config? GUI. Image. Let's see if we can find that list. There's a list of them there. I might just grab that list. Okay, there's a couple of different options for what URL to include here, but I'm going to go for that one, which is an index of individual help pages for each of the settings. So that should be fine. That guess technically is still correct. Okay. Yes. And we'll add Chocolatey GUI. What was the other one we did? Feature. Which name did I use here? Yep, cool. Consistent. Now, examples are let's go for set default source name. Which is that one there. And we can make that like Choco internal, I don't know. Something that's not the community repository. And then we can unset. I don't like just doing set and unset the same thing, but it gets the point across. Unset default source name. And that is that. All right, we need to add a export module members to there. And then that should be it for that module. So just to double check what was done, we changed some wording in the generic functions. We added a new specific Chocolatey GUI function and the Ansible module as well. Cool. Now, last thing for today, and hopefully I can squeeze it in, is tests. Although I have a feeling might not quite get there. I am not holding my breath, Stevie. I'm going to have to set aside some time to finish this PR and iron out the details because, yeah, not actively running this stuff as I'm working is, yeah. The test adjust. Okay, yeah, we're not going to be able to do everything, but we can at least start. So let's take a copy of that. I don't think we're going to need the filter, a filter, because that's very specifically for what's being tested there. So we do need to make sure Chocolatey is installed, but we also need to make sure Chocolatey GUI is installed. Because otherwise, the bits we need to test won't be on the box. Should we start from the baseline? So let's try that. Now, absent resets it. If I'm remembering. No, yes, sorry. I was confusing config with feature. Yes, so that. And I am looking at features. Okay, so it would help if I look at the right thing. Let's use. I'm already confused by what that's specifically doing. It's unsettle blank. Okay, right. Sorry, I was expecting that to be set to a default, and what it's actually doing is just setting it to a known value. So our feature could be, say, default tile view for local source. And we want to make that present. Just, we're going to assume it's on by default. No, that's enabled in this case, isn't it? I hadn't considered the global scope. That's going to require some changes in the modules themselves, but is doable. I'll take that off. The answer there, in my opinion, Stevie, is yes. But we'll do it offline. Right, I'm going to remove that. Now we have tests. I did make that. No, that needs to be GUI feature. There we go. Yes, absolutely, Stevie. So sorry, I realize I'm answering chat without potentially in the recording being able to see chat. So Stevie was asking about if we should account for the concept of global and non-global features, which yes, we should, and we haven't at the moment. So when you're working on, I keep knocking the mouse out. There we go. There's a global option, which sets machine level rather than user level. So at the moment, everything's user level or session level, user level, something like that. As for tests, we want yes, that makes sense. Okay, let's back to what that was. So we have Node.js, get the actual state of the feature. Chocolatey GUI CLI exe feature list minus R. Yeah. So yes. That's what the filter was doing. Okay, let's bring it back then. I was considering other ways of doing that same thing, but it's sort of the cleanest way to do it. Tile view. Let's just shorten it to tile view. And does that does have a capital? Okay. And it is just enabled to disable. Just double checking that the output's going to be similar between the two. Okay, and then here we go. Okay. Then we actually enable the default, enable the disabled feature. And then again, we get the state of it. And then we do some idempotency checks. Nice. This is my first time going line by line through the tests you've got here, Rain. Nice, nice. Change the filter. Okay, at this point, it's probably too late for a find and replace to actually make too big of a difference. Cool. So that brings us to basically the end of the stream. I am going to run this through our CI and run these tests and play with the resulting artifact and see if it did actually work or not. So from here, what I didn't get to was more tests and a couple of the suggestions that came up in chat. But there will be a PR for this in the Chocolatey Ansible repo, which will be pointing at this issue. So if anyone is interested in following along what happens after this, and to see it end up eventually getting merged, feel free to follow along on that issue. And yeah, thanks for tuning in today to our first code stream. I hope it was interesting. Yeah, and special thanks to some of my Chocolatey colleagues that were there in chat. It's always nice to be able to bounce design questions off of people when yeah, because otherwise you can end up getting stun locked on some of those decisions for far too long. So yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in, and I believe well, check our events page on chocolatey.org. I will throw up a link for future live streams. Let me find that link for you. Oh, yeah, Stevie, repost that one as well. On my end, it looks like I can post links. Anyway, what I was saying, thanks everyone for tuning in, and hope to see you around. Cheers.